the Brahmaputra. Sanskrit, Aanaanaanaanaana. Hindi, Aanaanaanaanaana. Bengali, AA section a kilometer AA section AA section AA section a kilometer AA. Tibetan, a 1/2 number 1/4 a 1/2 euro a 3/4 cubed a 1/2 a 1/2 a 1/2 1/4 a 1/2 a 1/2 unregistered trademark a 1/2 a 1/4 a 1/2 a 1/2 1/4 a 1/4 also called Tsangpo-Brahmaputra, is a transboundary river and one of the major rivers of Asia. With its origin in the Angsi Glacier, located on the northern side of the Himalayas in Burang County of Tibet as the Yarlung Tsangpo River, it flows across southern Tibet to break through the Himalayas in great gorges and into Arunachal Pradesh where it is known as Dihang or Siang. It flows southwest through the Assam Valley as Brahmaputra and south through Bangladesh as the Jamuna. In the vast Ganges Delta it merges with the Padma, the main distributary of the Ganges, then the Meghna, before emptying into the Bay of Bengal. About 1,800 miles long, the Brahmaputra is an important river for irrigation and transportation. The average depth of the river is 124 feet and maximum depth is 380 feet. The river is prone to catastrophic flooding in spring when the Himalayan snows melt. The average discharge of the river is about 19,300 cubic meters per second, and floods can reach over 100,000 cubic meters per second. It is a classic example of a braided river and is highly susceptible to channel migration and avulsion. It is also one of the few rivers in the world that exhibit a tidal bore. It is navigable for most of its length. The river drains the Himalaya east of the Indo-Nepal border, southern central portion of the Tibetan plateau above the Ganges basin, southeastern portion of Tibet, the Patkai Bum Hills, the northern slopes of the Meghalaya Hills, the Assam Plains and the northern portion of Bangladesh. The basin, especially south of Tibet, is characterized by high levels of rainfall. Kanchenjunga is the only peak above 8,000 m and the highest point within the Brahmaputra basin. The Brahmaputra's upper course was long unknown, and its identity with the Yarlung Tsangpo was only established by exploration in 1884–86. This river is often called Tsangpo-Brahmaputra River. The lower reaches are sacred to Hindus. While most rivers on the Indian subcontinent have female names, this river has a rare male name, as it means son of Brahma in Sanskrit. Course, Tibet. The Brahmaputra River, called Yarlung Tsangpo in Tibetan language, originates on the Angsi Glacier located on the northern side of the Himalayas in Burang County of Tibet and not Mayundung Glacier, which was previously identified by geographer Swami Pranavananda in the 1930s. The river is 3,848 km long, and its drainage area is 712,035 square kilometre according to the new findings, while previous documents showed its length varied from 2,900 to 3,350 km and its drainage area between 520,000 and 1.73 million square kilometre. This finding has been given by Mr. Liu Shouqiang, a researcher with the Institute of Remote Sensing Applications under the analysis using expeditions and satellite imagery from the Chinese Academy of Sciences. Assam and adjoining region. The Brahmaputra enters India in the state of Arunachal Pradesh, where it is called Siang. It makes a very rapid descent from its original height in Tibet, and finally appears in the plains, where it is called Dihang. It flows for about 35 kilometers and is joined by the Dibang River and the Luit River at the head of the Assam Valley. Below the Luit the river is called Brahmaputra, enters the state of Assam and becomes very as wide as 10 kilometers in parts of Assam. It is joined in Sonitapa by the Kameng River. Between Dibruga and Lakhampa districts the river divides into two channels, the northern Kirksha Channel and the southern Brahmaputra Channel. The two channels join again about 100 kilometers downstream forming the Mayalai Island, which was, until some time back, the largest river island in the world. At Guwahati, near the ancient pilgrimage center of Hajo, the Brahmaputra cuts through the rocks of the Shillong Plateau, and is at its narrowest at 1 kilometer bank to bank. Due to the river's narrow width, the Battle of Sarahat was fought here in March 1671. The first rail-cum-road bridge across the Brahmaputra was opened to traffic in April 1962 at Sarahat. The environment of the Brahmaputra floodplains in Assam have been described as the Brahmaputra Valley's semi-evergreen forests ecoregion. Bangladesh. In Bangladesh, the Brahmaputra is joined by the Teesta River, one of its largest tributaries. Below the Teesta, the Brahmaputra splits into two distributary branches. The western branch, which contains the majority of the river's flow, continues due south as the Jamuna to merge with the lower Ganges, called the Padma River. The eastern branch, formerly the larger but now much smaller, is called the lower or Old Brahmaputra. It curves southeast to join the Meghna River near Dhaka. The Padma and Meghna converge near Champa and flow out into the Bay of Bengal. This final part of the river is called Meghna. In the past the course of the lower Brahmaputra was different and passed through the Jamalpur and Mymensingh districts. In a 7.5 magnitude earthquake on April 2, 1762, the main channel of the Brahmaputra at Hyderabad Point was switched southwards and opened as Jamuna due to the result of tectonic uplift of the Madhupur Tract. The Ganges Delta, fed by the waters of numerous rivers, including the Ganges and Brahmaputra, is 59,570 square kilometers, the largest river deltas in the world. Flooding. During the spring season, floods are a very common occurrence. Deforestation in the Brahmaputra watershed has resulted in increased siltation levels, flash floods, and soil erosion in critical downstream habitat, such as the Kaziranga National Park in Middle Assam. Occasionally, massive flooding causes huge losses to crops, life and property. Periodic flooding is a natural phenomenon which is ecologically important because it helps maintain the lowland grasslands and associated wildlife. Periodic floods also deposit fresh alluvium, replenishing the fertile soil of the Brahmaputra River Valley. Thus flooding, agriculture, and agricultural practices are closely connected. Flood control measures are taken by Water Resource Department and the Brahmaputra Board, but until now the flood problem remains unsolved. At least a third of the land of Mayalai Island has been eroded by the mighty river. Recently it is suggested that a highway protected by concrete mat along the river and excavation of the riverbed can curb this menace. This project, named the Brahmaputra River Restoration Project, is yet to be approved by the government. Cooperation on the Brahmaputra. The waters of the river Brahmaputra are shared by China, India, and Bangladesh. In the 1990s and 2000s, there was repeated speculation about China building a dam at the Great Bend, with a view to divert the waters to the north of the country. This was denied by the Chinese government for many years. At the Kathmandu workshop of Strategic Foresight Group in August 2009 on water security in the Himalayan region, which on a rare occasion brought together leading hydrologists from the basin countries, the Chinese scientists argued that it was not feasible for China to undertake such a diversion. However, on April 22, 2010, China confirmed that it was indeed building the Xiang Dam on the Brahmaputra in Tibet, but assured India that the project would not have any significant effect on the downstream flow to India. In a meeting of scientists at Dhaka at 2010, 25 leading experts from the basin countries issued a Dhaka Declaration on Water Security calling for exchange of information in low-flow period, and other means of collaboration. Even though the UN Convention on Transboundary Water of 1997 does not prevent any of the basin countries from building a dam, customary law offers relief to the lower riparian countries. Also, there is potential for China, India and Bangladesh to develop hydroelectricity projects in transboundary water navigation. History. Early accounts give its name as Jardins. In the past the course of the lower Brahmaputra was different and passed through the Jamalpur and Mymensingh districts. Some water still flows through that course, now called the Old Brahmaputra, as a distributary of the main channel. A question about the river system in Bangladesh is when and why the Brahmaputra changed its main course, at the site of the Jamuna and the Old Brahmaputra fork that can be seen by comparing modern maps to historic maps before the 1800s. It is likely that the Brahmaputra flowed directly south along its present main channel for much of the time since the last glacial maximum, switching back and forth between the two courses several times throughout the Holocene. One idea about the most recent avulsion is that the change in the course of the main waters of the Brahmaputra took place suddenly in 1787, the year of the heavy flooding of the river Tista. It is, however, well known that the Tista has always been a wandering river, sometimes joining the Ganges, sometimes being shifted westwards by the superior strength of that river and forced to join the Brahmaputra. In the middle of the 18th century there were at least three fair-sized streams flowing between the Rashohi and Darko divisions, viz., the Dankoba, a branch of the Tista, the Manash or Konai, and the Salangi. The Lajang and the Alenjani were also important rivers. In Renault's time, the Brahmaputra as a first step towards securing a more direct course to the sea by leaving the Marjupa jungle to the east began to send a considerable volume of water down the Jinai or Jamuna from Jamalpur into the Manash and Salangi. These rivers gradually coalesced and kept shifting to the west till they met the Dankoba, which was showing an equally rapid tendency to cut towards the east. The junction of these rivers gave the Brahmaputra a course worthy of her immense power, and the rivers to right and left silted up. In Renault's altars they very much resemble the rivers of Jessore, which dried up after the 100-mouthed Ganges had cut a new channel to join the Meghna at the south of the Munchiganj subdivision. In 1809, Buchanan Hamilton wrote that the new channel between Pawanipa and Durban Range was scarcely inferior to the mighty river, and threatens to sweep away the intermediate country. By 1830, the old channel had been reduced to its present insignificance. It was navigable by country boats throughout the year and by launches only during rains, but at the point as low as Jamalpur it was formidable throughout the cold weather. Similar was the position for 2 or 3 months just below Mimensing also. As early as in 1830 there were resumption proceedings for chars which had formed in the new bed. Inquiries showed that many of the new formations were on the site of permanently settled villages which had been washed away by the changes in the course of the Jamuna and the Dankoba. The process has gone on ever since, and Buchanan Hamilton's remarks on the villages of Bengal are especially applicable to this area. He says that a change in the site of a village 4 or 5 miles causes little inconvenience and is considered no more than a usual casualty, which produces on the people no effect of consequence. Even the rich never put up buildings of a durable nature. View. See also, List of rivers in Bangladesh, List of rivers in China, List of rivers in India, List of rivers of Asia, List of rivers of Assam. Notes. References